Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. How are you this fine Thursday morning?
I'm good because it's go time.
It is go time. I like how you get excited about some of these things. It's interesting. I love it.
Just try to shake it up a little.
I like that. If I was really good and I had music queued up that was like shake, 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 and
yeah,
I don't have that skill set or that technology, so we
Plus,
won't
there's
try to
copyright
pretend.
issues that would drive us over the edge.
What's that?
There's copyright issues that would kill us.
I think you can do it as long as you only play it for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we used to do that when and I don't know, this is what this one guy told me. So when I was working in an athletic department in college, and we had a football team, and we had a marketing thing, and they were like, as long as we only play it for 3 seconds or whatever the amount of time was, we're not infringing on copyright laws. That's what I was told.
So instead of let's get ready to rumble, it would just be let's get ready.
Let's get ready to. I don't know. I think you can let's get ready to rumble in 3 seconds. And I don't know that that's trademarked, is it? It has to be. Why would they not?
Yeah. There was a big dispute over that. Yeah, years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyhow, all right, everyone. Good morning and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where we have a discussion around a topic. And this week's topic is
it's go time.
And today we're going to talk about false starts. So
it's no time.
Well, it's just it's go time before it's actually go time. So just have to make sure that you're holding out to the last possible second till when it's boom. So anyhow, we're gonna have that.
It's O time, right? From go to no to oh. I figured it out.
It's an interesting concept. All right. Maybe we're done. That's your one thing.
I was going to say, I'm doing this on the fly. No forethought if you're curious at home.
Well, if you are listening to this on our podcast, welcome. Please feel free to share it with others. And also, it would be great if you could rate our show.
5 stars.
Yes, that would be helpful. It will get the message out to more. Another way to get our message out to more is invite them to join our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. It's easy to do. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and then just ask to join. And you can become a part of our growing community, over 1,100 strong, as we try to help one another take our next step along our own unique pathway to success. And if you are watching it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or
LinkedIn Live. Boy, I got a lot of sound effects to remember.
You have a lot.
Start writing them down.
That's right. You got to know all your cues. And please feel free to comment throughout the show. We know that adds value to what we do. And at the end, Bob and I are going to offer our one thing, our antidote. And if you have something you'd like to share in that regard, please feel free to share that as well. So with that, let's kick off our show with the way we always kick it off, our celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I'm celebrating partnerships. Yesterday, I was able to put 2 of my clients together, and they might be doing great things together. And it was just really fun to be around a table with the 2 of them and see their alignment on things. And some of that came from, I think, my helping both of them. So it was really a nice opportunity that I think gets overlooked. I think a lot of times we tend to do things ourselves. And this was a situation where the one person could really use the other person's help. And the other person was more than willing to discuss it and possibly do what was needed. It was just really exciting to see that synergy, to pull a 90s word out of the hat. Yeah.
Synergy is a 90s word?
Yeah, it was a big word in the 90s. Remember that? Everything was synergy. We're going to be synergistic.
Okay. All right.
I think that's through that.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely did. I don't know. I might have forgotten it by now. It seems so long ago.
Lucky you.
Well, it's funny, I think that's one of my favorite things to do is to connect two people together who, have needs and value and are able to put them together where they can mesh and find something even stronger from that. I think that's, I think one of the reasons that the Ring of Renegades has so much value is there's a huge opportunity there to connect and engage with others who may have just what you're looking for, or may be looking for just what you have. So that's a great
Or share the same values.
Yes.
I
like that.
Yeah. And it was interesting. Afterwards, I got a nice text from each of the people thanking me for making that connection that was really productive for both of them, which is really, really exciting. And I don't know that we do this enough. We're so busy focused on ourselves and what we're trying to do that sometimes that opportunity to help other people. And when you help other people, they turn around and help you.
Sure. Well, and I think that so often, it's funny, I was talking with one of our Renegade Success members yesterday in our check-in and check-up that we do every Wednesday within the Renegade Success Network. And, we were talking about it in terms of networking and the difference between like a warm lead, you had a person who had a need and someone you thought could fill it. And you were like, hey, the two of you should get together. And I don't know that it's exactly going to work. Yet I know that you offer a service that you could use. And you have a need that this service could fill. Which for those two people, it helps them, saves them a ton of time. And they get by a little bit the know, like, and trust value. Because if they both know, like, and trust you, they would believe that. And I think so often, sometimes in networking groups, that's not the way. He's like, hey, you know what? Somebody says, I'm looking for somebody from like me in the nonprofit space. And they're like, oh, I know somebody who works in nonprofits. Here's their number. Why don't you give them a call?
Right.
Be like, you don't have any idea if they have a need that I could fill, or I'm just going to randomly call them, which could be okay. It's just a very different conversation than, hey, I know you have a need and I'm going to fill, and I can help fill it. So,
and I think it also increases the stock of the person who makes that connection when it works.
Absolutely.
Like, wow, you have more value to your customers, more value to your friends, more value to business associates, because they're like, wow, Bob's looking out for my interests. He gets me beyond just my normal interactions, but like this is taken it to another level. And I think that really, that's a positive that we don't transact and think about that as much as we could.
Well, no, I think that's an important piece of it because I think there's the other side of it is when someone just like, I can remember, you and I were both part of a networking group that randomly out of the blue, I get these calls that say, hey, so-and-so gave me your number and said that I should call you because of this.
And it's been 8 years since I was part of the group.
Yes. And sadly, usually it's not. One, the approach is usually a little off-putting. Two, because it's a random call out of the blue, just looking for help or a connection or, hey, I think you might have this need. Two, it's, there's just no forethought to it whatsoever. It's just like passing a name. And I think in that regard, it impacts the persons who shared that lead. Now, it's one thing to be like, hey, you know what? Here's somebody who you might want to reach out to. And there's a way to do that. That's not just pick up the phone call and be like, hey, I know you've got nothing else going on. Let's just sit and chat about this.
Right. What are you celebrating?
Well, because we spent so much time talking about it, I'm going to celebrate the value of networking and the conversation that I had with our Renegade Success Network member yesterday. And, it just reinforced to me the opportunity for really strong networking and connections that we can make. And that's something that Bob and I have talked about incorporating into our Renegade Success Network and offering for our Ring of Renegades members. So keep on the lookout for more information about that.
It's almost go time for that.
It's almost go time. We just really don't want a false start.
That's
so now that we have gotten our celebrations out of the way, what is the nation celebrating?
It is National Cuddle Up Day, Tom. Yes, it's Cuddle
Really?
Up Day. Yes. It's the cold months. It's a time to cuddle up with someone. Perhaps it's a 3-dog night. It's supposed to snow where you are. And I didn't know this, but a night so cold it takes 3 dogs to cuddle up to stay warm is what a 3-dog night is. It was also a 70s band if you're keeping score at home. Cuddling, Tom, did you know it releases Oxycontin? This hormone alone has tremendous health benefits. Besides giving us warm and fuzzy feelings, Oxycontin reduces pain. So when the cold is made, your muscles and joints ache, cuddling up can reduce those aches and pains. I'm not going to allow you to go at the irony. I'm not going to. Don't even. I hear it.
I'm not sure. I missed that one. So
It's go time. Keep going. So
Fair
it's
enough.
National Cuddle Up Day. If
I
you
like
have someone
that.
to cuddle up with,
Please take advantage of
consider
that.
yourself very fortunate.
Absolutely.
Not everyone has someone to cuddle up with today.
You know that there are people who do that as a business.
Yes.
I read about that once where they're just like, that's my job, is if you're
Yes.
feeling like you need someone to cuddle up with. And they're very serious about it, which, there's nothing. It's just,
Cannot imagine that business. That would not be a model of business for me.
well, you never know. Maybe that's just the people. It's the people who walk around and say, they just give out free hugs.
Yeah.
So you never know what can happen. Anyhow, that probably means it's a really good opportunity to jump to our topic.
It's go time.
All right. So it actually is go time now.
Finally.
All right. So today we're going to talk about false starts. You want to shed some light on that for us, Bob?
Sure. When we go to do something, often right before we're going to do it, we go, oh, this isn't going to work. Oh, I forgot something. Oh, I can't. What if it's wrong? And we think we're going to start it and then we stop it. And I saw this. I talked earlier this week about website development. We develop websites, work with people to get their websites for their company all set to go. And the last step before it going live was their review of it. They had to look at it, bless it, and say, yep, it's good, make it live. It would take weeks, sometimes months, for them to find time to review it. It wasn't because they needed to find the time to review it. It's because of the finality of, once I approve this, it's going to go live. And if it's not perfect, I'm going to have egg on my face. So the false start was, hey, we want a new website. We're going to launch a new website in March. And then March comes, website's ready to go, but they don't review it. And it becomes April, May, June. In one case, it went from about March till November before they actually reviewed it, despite frequent discussions. And it's like, yeah, I just don't have time. Oh, I just want one more person to look at it. I'm worried about this graphic. I'm worried about this image. I don't like the wording on this page. And they would just find all these reasons to stop. So to me, that you're going to launch a website in March and you tell the world that, and then you drag your feet for the next 7 months, that's a false start. Wouldn't you agree?
I would say that, yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking about it on the other side of it. So there's the false start of you told everybody and then you don't do it. I think there's the other of you do it.
And you don't tell anyone.
Well, or you have hesitation, or you get some feedback that you should have waited. Someone has the, last minute Monday morning quarterback of, no, that wasn't right. We didn't do it right. We could have done it differently. We should have done, all of those things, the woulda, shoulda, couldas that happen sometimes after we start to take an action or we're taking an action. And, I think so often you're so excited to do it that you just go. You get a runner. We've had that analogy for about 2 weeks as we've gone through ready, set, and now it's go time. The runner gets in the box.
What did you say? It's go time.
I did. Sorry. I should have said it more clearly so that you could have easily brought in your sound effects. That, you get so excited about the opportunity that you just go. And you maybe go a little bit before the starter shoots off their gun.
Which disqualifies you.
Yes. There's a big penalty when you do that in a race. Yes. And I think there's there's not quite the same penalty. I think a lot of people think there's that penalty when you do that with a business, with an organization, with a conversation. And yeah, there could be some side effects to it. There's also great opportunities to learn from that. Same with a runner. If you get disqualified, you're like, okay, what do I need to do differently? Maybe I don't get down in my set position so quick. I take my time to be one of the last, whatever it might be.
Right.
Yes, there is a penalty for it. And there's also an opportunity to learn from it. Because you could just be like, oh, stupid starter. He was you could blame the starter. You could blame all the other runners who took so long to get in their blocks. Or you could say, all right, what did I learn from this? What do what went well, what didn't go as planned, and what do I need to do differently? And I think so often that's the same in our business worlds. You can go have a conversation with someone before they're ready to hear it, before you've got all your, you can jump to conclusions on something and go give somebody a hard time about something that you don't have all the information for. And yeah, there's going to be challenges that come along with that, penalties that come along with that. And you can either just go into the blame game, the woulda, shoulda, couldas, or you can step and start to take a look at what can I learn from this situation? And I think that's, so while, yes, it's a false start and it has some ramifications, there is also the opportunity to learn from that.
I think there's a third false start.
Really?
And
What's
you
that?
mentioned it last week or this week, I don't remember, but remember we launched my book.
Correct.
And we just put the book out there. Mentioned it a couple times, then we moved on. We didn't have a lunch party. We didn't have a virtual book signing. We didn't do a whole bunch of things that we could have done. So to me, you said a couple weeks ago, and I agree, it's kind of a false start. We didn't maximize the opportunity there because whatever. We found other things to do. It distracted us. We didn't know. But to me, it's not like we had a book launch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I'm actually going to jump in with my one thing early because I was thinking about it and I just was like, I could share it, but then I may not have a one thing and maybe I don't
go ahead.
Too early. So
Tom, what's your one thing today?
So to me, and this is going to go back to a lot of the judgments that we place on things, is that, yes, we could look at putting your book out there as a false start, mm-hmm. which in some regards has a negative connotation, right? It's like, yes. Well, that was false. We shouldn't have done, now it's easy to get into the woulda, coulda, shouldas. You even, I think, used one or two of those in your description of it. Or we could just say it was a start. And it didn't go the way we had hoped. So let's now look at what went well, what didn't go as planned, and what would we do differently. And then we have an opportunity to restart or start again, which is just another, taking another action. The world doesn't know doesn't have to think that was a false start. The world might not even know that there's a book. So when you go and launch
I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Well, no, there are people who know it, just people who have it and have read it and commented to you. So there was a start to it.
Yes.
Now there's an opportunity to have another start to it. It's like our app. We put our app out there, and I don't think we look at that as a false start. We just look at it as a start that has the opportunity to bring in and gain some information. Now we have the opportunity to do another start and, or in this case, it's go time. And no one has to be the wiser. We just have an opportunity to reignite and re-engage people with that action.
I like that. I guess it's time for my one thing. This will be one of the more brief programs we've ever done. That's a good sign.
There's opportunities there.
Okay. I think my one thing would be that a false start is only false if you don't learn from it, which I think is what you said in different words. Mm-hmm. And that was what I was kind of thinking as we were going through these, that the person who goes, oh, well, we spent money on Google ads for a weekend and it didn't get us any customers. And so they dismiss all advertising forever rather than try to figure out what happened, try to figure out, what didn't happen. Was their material clear? Was it in the format that people respond to? Were the ads targeted to the right people? Was the bidding process the best it could be? All these things that go into it. And I think we tend to make knee-jerk reactions when it's go time based on the first piece of data we have. And I know I keep bringing it up, but it just gets me every time. The autopilot, 95% of the time it's correcting. That means very little time that plane is flying is it actually doing exactly what you or I as the passenger would want. It's weaving, it's dealing with wind, it's dealing with all the variable conditions. How can we expect ourselves not to have that same kind of having to figure our way out, right? We're carving it.
Sure. Well, and the funny thing about that, no one on the plane knows that.
Right. That's right.
No
one goes, hey, we're 5 degrees off. We should turn 5 degrees. Oh, wait, now we're 3 degrees the other way. Right.
Right. I think that's part of it is we do things and think that the world, now, sometimes we do things that the world is aware of and doesn't go as planned. Okay. And you can either let that define you and stop you from ever doing anything again, or you can say, okay, what did I learn? How am I going to do it differently? And I think so often when we use adjectives like true, false, right, wrong,
Best,
good,
worst,
bad, perfect, whatever, that it changes how we look at the action and how others look at it. If you went out and said, yeah, we had this false start with my book and it just, but I'm really excited about doing it again. People be like, well, if you thought it was false, why are you doing it again? And you might start to think, geez, maybe I should just not let anybody know and we'll just let it pass. And it'll just be one of those things that I shove to the side. And I think so often that's you go back to a bad conversation with a employee, team member. And you feel like, okay, well, that didn't go very well. I didn't have all the information. Maybe I better not have any more tough conversations with people, or I'm going to have to take a lot of time to gather all this information. And by the time I gather it all, well, what I found out was exactly what I knew before. And other things have happened since and that I didn't have a chance to stop. And I think the same with a runner. A runner starts. Sometimes they start when the gun goes off. Sometimes they start before, and sometimes they have a slow reaction, they have a reaction, not fast or slow. It's just a reaction that was not as effective as in the past. And so they have an opportunity to either be like, that was just one time. That'll never happen again. Or they can stop and say, what can I learn from this? And how can I put that into action in the future?
Nice. And Tom, you bring up action in the future, and that's what our Renegade Success Network is all about.
Yes, indeed.
Helping people identify the actions that they want to take to get to the future they're trying to build. And so if that's something you're interested in, Tom or I would love to talk to you about the Renegade Success Network and how it might work for you. It's a growing group of people who are really achieving amazing things. Like I think if you asked every single one of them, they would say that they exceeded their expectations last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is amazing.
They're achieving things. Sometimes, and one of the things I like about that, without even worrying about amazing, is that they are achieving things. And what they are doing from those things is they are learning from them. I would say that some of the steps they have taken have not gone as planned.
No, I would agree.
And they have learned from them. They have taken the time to say, okay, that didn't really go the way I thought. We were talking with one of our members about they were doing they had a table at a school fair.
Yep.
And we talked about let's talk about it. What went well? And they were able to have they could have just said, I didn't get any leads. I didn't get any really good, or I only got 8 leads. Okay. That's one way to look at it. And you could just go and be like, I'm never doing a table like that ever again. Or you could step back and say, okay, well, what went well? What didn't go as planned? And what would I do differently? So the next time and one of the things I might do differently could be this really, I've done it now for 3 years. It hasn't really been that effective. So maybe that's not the place for me, unless I'm just doing it out of the goodness of my heart because my kid went there and it's a nice thing to do. That could be enough.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we know that that is the desired outcome, completely changes the expectations that we have going into it. Rather than thinking, okay, the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to get in all these leads and all these prospects. Well, the likelihood is you're going to walk away from that if you are not 3 years in a row, and maybe you do it again and it's a fourth year. You're going to be frustrated and get into the blame game and judgment. And if you really take a hard look at it and learn that this is not a place for leads, this is a place for me to do something of goodwill for my school, gets a little awareness out there. Now, when you go back to evaluate it, you have a very different evaluation of the results. And still, how can you continue to move forward from that? So I think that they are taking actions and learning from them, which in my mind is some of the most important things, because I know too many people who are stuck and aren't taking any action.
Or overwhelmed with all the choices.
Correct. So I think that we are helping them look at what they do differently so that they can continue to do things and not be stuck and overwhelmed and frustrated and being like, why did I do this? I just should go back to something else.
All right. Wow.
Excellent.
What a great episode.
Yes. So thank you for joining us today, everyone, whether you're joining us live or you are watching this. If you have one thing you'd like to share about false starts, we gave you 3. So if there are more out there, we would love to hear them. Please feel free to put them in the comments, or you can share them in our Ring of Renegades, as we mentioned before. So we look forward to seeing you there. Oh, and also we have 2 more From I Wish to Success workshops coming up. No, that's okay. I'll just throw it out there because you probably put in our Renegade Success Network. So it's the same link. Just when you get there, go to programs, click on From I Wish to Success. And we have 2 more sessions, January 11th and January 20th. And we look forward to seeing you there, or we'll see you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. And then there's always tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, cuddle up and embrace the renegade in you.
Cuddling day. I guess that makes more sense. Not that you shouldn't maybe try to find someone to cuddle with every day. Definitely makes sense. And I can see why it was in January, not July.
Yes. That would be get the heck away from me day.
Or sit next to me. We don't have to necessarily cuddle with.
And don't block the fan.
Correct. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.